So Gaijin just came out with an update that completely ruined top tier jets, guys. So if you aren't aware of the recent update they updated the radar system. So the radar like icons, so how you see them on the radar, to show as a jet, the missile to show as a missile, and then you have still the vector line. Now, taking a quick look at the radar on the right, I mean, guys, everything is just a line now on the radar, a vertical line. Everything looks the same. It is very hard to visually differentiate in top tier jets. Because in top tier jets, right, 14.3, 14.7, you have the AESA radars, which see everything. Now, they did add a filter, which I think was a good update. Me personally, I like to see the missiles. I like to see everything, right? Information is everything. If I can see where missiles are going, I can notch easier. I can see on my RWR if maybe they aren't actually coming towards me, but my RWR is going off. All the little things, right, for me make a difference. But for some people, it doesn't. Now, I'm going to be going over 4 main points here in this video. So the first one is what I look for in a radar and what I look to read on the radar. And if you don't know who I am, first time watching a video of mine, I am a very, very high level top tier jets player. Really anything 13.0 or above. So kind of my insight as a high level player, how I read the radar, what I look for, all of that. Second thing is going to be law of similarity. This, guys, is the biggest thing with this update and why it is so bad. The law of similarity, we're going to go into that in depth. Why the law of similarity basically ruins these new icons, these new radars. Dive into that. The third is why they actually made this change and why Gaijin did. And then the fourth is just basically an easy solution or easy fix to it, right? But yeah, with that being said, let's get into the first point, right? What I look for in a radar or how I read the radar. There's two biggest things when you read a radar, or the things you look for. The first is the actual jets itself, right? So where your enemies are positioned on your radar. You know, as we can see now, it is that little jet icon, but before it was the circle. So understanding where your enemies are will help you position yourself, you know, accordingly. Again, give you a general sense of where missiles could come from, everything like that. So just a big part of positioning. Second aspect is the vector line. So if you guys don't know what the vector line is, that is basically the vertical line that shows which direction the jet is going. So that is a very, very important part of the radar because that's going to tell me which direction, again, the jet is headed, and I can position myself around which direction they're headed. It also tells me when I should fire my missiles, you know, just depending, again, on which direction they're headed. So I have a higher likelihood of hitting them. And that's the biggest thing, guys, is those two things. And the reason it's harder now for me to see those things, get a better understanding of reading that on the radar, is the law of similarity. Everything now is very similar in terms of shape, size, all of the icons. And that plays a big part on how we can read things quickly. So let's move on to the law of similarity, what that actually means, again, how it actually just ruins these new radars. So the biggest issue with this new update on the radar system is something we call the law of similarity. And really what that is basically the human eye tends to perceive similar elements as a complete picture, shape, or group, even if those elements are separated. Now, why is that big in this case with the new system? Well, let's look at the takeaways, guys. So first one, elements that are visually similar will be perceived as related. So elements in terms of an object is going to be color, shape, size, orientation, all of this right here, right? And when we move on to the second takeaway, color, shape, size, orientation, and movement can signal that elements belong to the same group and likely share a common meaning or functionality. Now, when we take a look at the new icons for the radars or whatever they're called, right? We have a little jet, the missile, and then the vector line. Now, the missile and the vector line are basically the same thing. I can't even see a difference when I'm looking on the radar, and that's horrible, right? I put them as the same functionality, the same group, because again, visually, they are very similar. And when I take a quick glance over there, that's what I see. And then on top of that, the jet itself it is pretty small, and it's a little bit more of a lengthwise thing now instead of the circle. So when I take another quick glance over, and with all these new AESA radars, right? So think of the 14.7 jets, the 14.3s, basically top tier, right? There's a lot going on your radar, especially beginning to middle of your game. And when I have all of these icons that are the same shape, the same length, right? Very similar size, they all look the same, right? So when we look at this, our perception of it is, oh man, these are all similar. They have that functionality of the vector line, right? The direction they're going. So it starts to get harder and harder to differentiate what I'm actually looking at in the radar system. Now, we move on to the third one. The third point here, it does stress basically differentiating things. So ensure that links and navigation systems are visually differentiated from normal text elements. So when we look at that in the perspective of a radar system, right, we want things that are visually different so that we can easily see what's going on, easily understand things, and easily visualize what we're looking at. And that's what the old system, old icons in the radar had going for it, right? It was a circle. That's the jet. The vector line was a line. So it is very, very easy to see which direction the jet was going, whereas opposed to now, it is not, guys. And I'm going to we'll be throwing up a couple examples here with this because, yeah, it is a very, very important thing, guys. Now, moving on to some examples of that law of similarity we were just discussing, because it's very good to visualize things here. So I tried to get a very similar radar of the new one, which is on the left, and the old one, which is on the right. This one was with the F-15C. This one was with the Rafale. Now, guys, I'm going to show a couple of examples here of different radars. So this is just one of them. But again, think back to what I said from my first point. The two major things we need to be able to read quickly and efficiently is going to be where the jet is located and the vector line, so which direction they're headed. And we'll start off with the new one here. And just to go over it, we can see, missiles here being shot. So these are all missiles right here. So on both, we have missiles in the same general area. Now, just taking a look here at the new one, where it gets very visually confusing, especially if you're like me and you like to have the missiles on, is look at this, guys. So we got the missile and then we got the vector line. It's literally both just a vertical line. Like, how am I supposed to tell the difference? Right? You can't. Like, that's the issue. And then not only that, but because the jets are so small, I don't even know if you guys could notice, but this right here is a jet. But again, it is so small and everything is so vertically shown on the radar. Everything gets convoluted here. So, I don't even know if you guys can see this, but yeah, missile right here, the jet, and then it's all just vertical lines. And it really doesn't help that the jet itself is also a very vertically shaped icon on the radar. When we look at these, again, a quick glance, guys, when we compare that to the old style, look how much more clear it is to see a circle and then the vector line here, right? It is a lot more clear, a lot more visually easier for us to understand and process. And that's the key in top tier, because in top tier, we're going to be getting spammed by other missiles, right? I need to be multitasking, looking at my radar, looking at my RWR, visually seeing what's in front of me. So I have to multitask, look, and again, kind of to that third concept of law of similarity we went over, things need to be visually different so that they're a lot easier to process and understand. So let me show in a second example here. Pull that up. All right, so looking at the second example I wanted to show here, again, trying to get a very similar situation on the radar here. Got some enemies, got some missiles, being shot, all of that. So main thing to look at here, and this is where I'm going to show in the second and third example why this is such an issue, is this right here. So the issue, again, and this comes down to that law of similarity, is everything is a vertical line, guys, in this new system. So when we take a look at this, right, everything starts getting jumbled because there's so many vertical lines, all of that. And let's do this. Let's separate it by color. So for example, all the vertical lines we see here. So right here, we can obviously see this line and this line. We'll put those together because they're the same color. We then have a jet right here. If you guys couldn't even tell, that's how small they are. They get eaten up by these vertical lines. We have another jet right there, very small. We have the vector line here. We have a vector line for, actually green was not the move there. A vector line here. We have some other line that's also going all the way down here. We have another line, vertical line, all right there. We have running out of colors here, guys. We have a missile, which shows up again as a vertical line in this radar. Let's see what other color. We can use black. So we have another vertical line right here, right? That on top of that. And then we have another vertical line right here. I don't even know what that one is. But that's the issue, guys, is this right here. Everything in the new radar system shows as a vertical line. Again, law of similarity. Everything is the same shape. Everything is the same length. Everything is just a vertical object. And that causes issues when I look at this and try to read it. I can't quickly scan and see what's going on quickly. I have to spend time, actually look at my radar. And at top tier, that's just not optimal, right? Whereas with the old system, we don't have that issue. Not everything is put as a vertical line on the radar, right? We have different objects. And again, it wraps back to that third concept that I went over on law of similarity of things being different, objects having different elements. And that's what the old system had. Everything's a lot easier to read. I mean, take, for example, we have 3 very close jets right here, right? We have a circle, circle, circle. And then it's very easy to see the vector lines, so which direction they're going, right? There's no issue. It's very easy as well to see which target I have selected. And that is the main issue, guys. And let me show you another example of this here as well, where I'm going to do the same thing. Because, guys, it is horrible. All right, so for this example here, I really just wanted to show how things look when everything's a little bit more spread out on the new radar system. And one thing I really wanted to point out here was kind of the target selection. So what I mean by that is these 2 lines here. So I just want to show you guys as well how much easier it is to see that when it's, again, around the circle. Because we can see here, this is this target we selected. And I'm guessing you guys couldn't even notice that right away, right? It was a lot harder to see. And that's the point. And this example here, again, I wanted to show as well because this just shows how things look when everything's a little bit more spread out. So we can see here in this one, we have enemies pretty spread out, right? They're not all clumped together like the first example. And This one, the same concept, right? We have things a lot more spread out. So again, the main things to note here is which one looks more clear. And the answer would be the old one, right? I mean, we can see everything looks very clear, very easy to process. Again, it goes down to that third concept of law of similarity, right? Having different or differentiate, or I don't even know what the word is, but it looks different, right? We have the different shapes, they're not similar. So we can very clearly see or understand what's going on. We have the circle, we have the line, and then we have the two circles around it to see what is selected. On this one, on the other hand, though, I mean, guys, this is where I'm saying, like, you know, it gets very, very confusing looking at this, and especially when I need to look at this very quickly. We have like this general area here, for example, is very clustered because one thing they changed in the update as well is look how long some of these vector lines are, right? These vector lines are almost like twice as long as some of these here, which I'm not too sure why they did. And the issue with that is let's take a look here at this, right? This general area. This is the issue. Because everything now is so vertically shaped, everything is similar in size and shape, everything gets convoluted. So we can see like what even is this line here? Is that like a vector line? I don't even know. Right? Everything is so vertical. The vector lines they made extra long. Everything now is just a line on the radar. That's a lot harder to read. And that's the issue with what's going on. Like, for example, right here, what is going on right here? We have a jet right here, all right? And then we have a vertical line here and another vertical line here and then another vertical line here and another vertical line here. Like, what is going on? Another vertical line there. Let me actually put that in different colors for you guys. So we have a vertical line here. We have another 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 vertical line here. To add more into this one circle, we have another vertical line here. We have another vertical line right here. And then we can include the jet there as well as another vertical line. I mean, guys, like, what is this? What is this? Like, everything is just a vertical line now. Again, it's all about the law of similarity that is ruining the radar system. So, yeah, hopefully these examples helped. I think visualizing it is a lot better, at least in my opinion. But let's move on here to why Gaijin actually decided to do this. So why did Gaijin even make this change? It all lies in the most played vehicles, guys, and kind of a business aspect of things here. So when we take a look in Air Realistic in last month, so February 2026, let's take a look at the most played jets in the game, guys. So premium jet, a squadron, which people a lot of the times just outright buy it. Premium jet, premium, and premium, right? All these premiums are the most played jets in the game. And we're getting to a point in the game where Gaijin now is releasing all of these higher tier premiums. The SAW 30 is a good example, where we're getting into Fox 3 territory. And the issue with that is when Gaijin gets new customers or new clientele, right? New players, player base, however you want to put it, and they go out and buy a jet. Let's take the F2A, for example. They go out and buy this, which this jet does have an AESA radar, by the way. So top of the line radar system. They are going to play the game and not understand how to use the radar or anything. Guys, when we started playing this game, all of us, and we first started dealing with all these higher tier radars, it was a very high learning curve. It is not easy to understand if you're new to the game. You have to take the time and learn how to use things properly for the radar. So, what does that mean in terms of new customers, new players? Well, if it's something that's difficult right off the bat, they may not return to the game, right? When we look at things in a business aspect, the first thing is getting that new player, getting the new player base, new customer, right? And then they go and buy a premium jet. Second thing after that is retention. So keeping that player in the game, keeping the customer. And they don't know what they're doing in the game. They're not going to stay, right? So Gaijin's change to that was, oh, we have all these people buying these premium jets who don't really understand how to play the game, any of that. Well, let's make it easier, or try to make it easier for them to understand what's going on with their radar. So instead of there being a circle, let's put a jet icon. For the missile, let's put a missile icon. So they're trying to simplify things for the noobs. And no offense if you fall into that category. But for the experienced players, it's probably not the best, right? Again, kind of what I was going back to in terms of the law of similarity, right? It makes things visually confusing when we look at it. So, in short, this change was to try to retain new players, or people who didn't really know what they were doing, buying all these top tiers, all these premiums, right? And they didn't really care about the more experienced players. Now, what's a simple fix for this? Well, it's a very easy answer, guys. All Gaijin needs to do, or had to do, was have the default with these new garbage icons, right? The jet, the missile, all of that. And then have an option in the settings where you can basically just change back to the old radar system, right? So change back to the circles. So it's as simple as that, guys. Have it for the new player base, right? With the different icons, and then have a setting where you can revert back. Because for me, this is such a horrible change, guys. Like, I'm spending so much time trying to look at my radar, understand what's actually going on now. And it's just a struggle, man. It is not fun. So hopefully there's a change soon, right? Hopefully they do fix something up. But definitely let me know what you guys think of this new change, or just my thoughts on it, the video. And yeah, if you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.